Thank you all so much for joining us today for the annual meeting of the Bibliographical Society of America. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Erin Schreiner, the Executive Director. I've corresponded with many of you, and it's been really nice to match names with faces today. So if you haven't had a chance to speak to me, I know I've been kind of all over the place, please do flag me down, especially if we've emailed and never met. I would love to actually shake your hand and say hi. In a few moments, President Barbara Shailor will formally open our brief business meeting, and I'm honored to get things started today with a few brief remarks. First, I would like to offer our thanks. We've had 21 sponsors for this event today, many of whom are here, and so many of you are here, and the council and I are indeed grateful to you for providing a proportion of the funding that makes this event possible. I would also like to extend a warm welcome to the exhibitors here from Rare Book School, the Colorado Antiquarian Book Seminar, and the Society of Fellows in Critical Bibliography. Please visit their tables to find out about what these allied organizations have to offer. David Gantz and Megan J. Brown, the PBSA editorial staff, are also here today, and we hope that you will take this opportunity to talk to them about contributing to our journal. Please also know that the books sent by the University of Chicago and Penn State University Press are all free to take home with you. I brought all of these books here. Some of you may have seen the picture of the boxes in which I carried these books, and I will tell you, I do not want to take them home with me to Brooklyn. So please take them away and enjoy some very good bibliographical reading. Some of you may have noticed also that we are in a new venue. Thank you to the Convene staff for welcoming us today and for keeping things running smoothly. Also, and this is very, very important, as we did last year, we will send out a survey following the annual meeting to find out what you thought about the event, the venue, and the program. Many of you have raised the concern that this might cost a little bit more than what we have paid in the past, and the council has decided that this is an investment that we are making on a trial basis for this year. We want to see a return on this investment, and you are the people that are capable of telling us if that return is actually is coming in. So please let us know, and please look out for and respond to the survey. This is our biggest event of the year, and it is only successful if you feel like you've gotten something out of it. Last but not least, I'm here to tell you about the very busy year that has just ended. I'm delighted to report that our society is growing. We added 104 members in 2019 with noteworthy gains in the emerging leadership and lifetime membership categories. This is a 23% gain overall, and this is a tremendous achievement at a time when many of our peer ACLS member societies are reporting downturns in their membership. I'm especially pleased to see the upticks in memberships at the leadership and lifetime levels. Contributions with membership dues help to support the young scholars joining the society at the emerging level, and their numbers more than tripled in the past year. And since December 31st, the number on the board has actually grown. Today we have over 570 members, and I hope that those of you who have not yet renewed for 2020 will join your colleagues in doing so. Our programming has also expanded. As Sonia Drimmer reported in our November electronic newsletter, we held over 20 events in 17 states and 3 countries this past year. 13 of those events were hosted with less than $1,000 as their budget. 9 of them were free and open to the public, and that includes the events that were held earlier this week at the Cooper Hewitt and at the Center for Jewish History. And many of you may wish to know that people actually came up to me and said, "Thank you for making this open to non-members and free and open to the public, because I wouldn't have come if that wasn't the case." So that really means something. 7 of these focused on non-traditional materials and perspectives. We also had 5 community grants sponsor 6 events in 4 states, including Utah, Georgia, and Colorado. 4 sponsored panels at academic conferences, and 4 events hosted collaboratively with other societies, and that excludes academic conferences. So I'm just so proud of those numbers and all that the program committee has been doing in 2019. We'll soon be announcing a preliminary calendar of events for 2020, which were all events proposed to the committee by BSA members. We invite you to engage with BSA programs by attending them and also by submitting proposal to the committee for events. The Society wishes to support your interests and your professional development by facilitating bibliographical events at your institution that will draw more attention to and build engagement around the material text. You can learn more about submitting a proposal by visiting our website. So our membership is growing. We are offering a wider variety of programs in different locations around the country. Many of you have also noticed that we're telling you about these things by email. Our e-newsletters and announcements have a fabulous open rate. 50% of you are actually reading what we have to say. So this has made me very self-conscious about my terrible copy editing skills, and I thank you for your patience as I get better at this. So thank you, though, really, for reading what we have to say. It's really meaningful to see that there's engagement and people are actually curious to know what we're up to. We've also worked with the University of Chicago Press to send out announcements when new issues of PBSA are available electronically. And as we announced last year, the full archive of our journal is fully available online. This has had an effect. Overall, PBSA electronic access has increased by 74%, which is a lot. Our publisher was astounded by this number. And that increase has come in part from those of you who access PBSA online via MemberPlanet. MemberPlanet is not beautiful, but apparently it is working, and I am so pleased to see that the system we put in place last year is actually providing access to the bibliographical scholarship that has defined our society for so many generations. Last but not least, fundraising. Thank you so much to the many of you who contributed to the 2019 annual fund, which raised $12,000 to support the programs I've just described. In combination with contributions to the annual meeting and gifts with membership purchases, we have raised over $20,000 this year and are working toward building a culture of philanthropy that will sustain the society for generations to come. So thank you very much to everyone who gave this year. I'm just so proud to be here. I'm so proud to be in this position. I really love the work that I am doing. And I would also just like to recognize Barbara Shailor for the tremendous energy, expertise, and determination that she's brought to the BSA as our president. So much of our success this year is due to her belief in our ability to grow and change in the right ways, and the passion for bibliography that she brings to her work. So I extend my warmest thanks to Barbara and welcome her to join me at the podium to formally begin our meeting.
First of all, let me say that Erin's level of energy often makes me feel very tired.
I feel the same way.
So it is now my duty as president of BSA, it's my duty and my pleasure to open the 115th General Annual Meeting and Program. We shall have a brief business meeting first. It's mandated by our bylaws. I hope it will be brief. Then we'll have a panel, this year on bibliography and technologies, that will consider what are new ways of enhancing our understanding of the physicality of texts. What are some of the innovations being employed by scholars, curators, librarians, and institutions? And what happens when digital meets analog? I am so pleased to have with us today Michael Whitmore, Lisa Fagan-Davis, Earl Havens, and Haven Hawley. So we have something to look forward to after the business meeting. I need to acknowledge here once more the shift that we've encountered over the last just more than a year, and that is that we now have a full-time executive director. This has allowed us to do all of the things in 2019 that Erin just outlined. We could not do it with a part-time person, and this has made a significant difference, and I think people feel the difference. There's something that is a buzz, and I am so happy to be working with Erin. So, Erin covered the last year, and what I would like to do is just take a few minutes to talk about the future. At the council meeting in November, the officers and the members of the council and chairs of committees and working groups all got together and outlined 3 things that we would like to see happen in 2020. First, we need to continue to diversify in all areas. That means programming, fellowships, and memberships. It means sponsoring programs outside our traditional areas from the past. For example, we recently co-sponsored a conference at the Beinecke Library with the Black Bibliographical Project. We did another workshop on Coptic manuscripts at the Met. And we did a joint program at the University of Edinburgh with the BibSoc of the UK. And you will see when we announce the fellowships that we had a very broad range of disciplines and areas and the backgrounds of bibliographers represented in those who won the fellowships. Our second goal is that we need to continue to attract and nurture the next generation of bibliographers and to maintain our strength in the decades to come. Younger people will keep our society looking towards the future. I mean, if you look around the room, some of us are a little, let's say, aging. We need the younger generation. And I am so proud that the category of emerging bibliographers is now 81 strong. These are our younger generation. And I believe it's critical to having a vibrant and active society in the decades to come. And I think thirdly, we need to continue to improve our communication with members. The electronic newsletter that Erin started will continue with information about programs, updates on deadlines for funding, and also with ongoing requests for financial support for the BSA. Please do continue to read what we send in the email and by mail, and do convey to the officers, executive director, and members of the council how the society can better serve you. This may seem like a novel idea, but we absolutely want to hear from you. A few suggestions. Nominate yourself as a volunteer for a committee or working group. Nominate yourself or someone you know who is doing exciting bibliographical work for a member profile for the newsletter. Or follow us on Twitter. Truly novel idea. Okay, so let us begin our formal meeting with the Mercantile Library Prize, which is awarded every 3rd year. Unfortunately, John Neal Hoover could not be with us today, but he has delegated, as chair of the prize committee, his responsibilities for announcing the prize to his associate, Dr. Julie Dunn Morton, his right-hand de facto associate director, and her official title, the Mercantile Library Endowed Curator of Fine Art Collections. So please, would you come forward, Dr. Dunn Morton? And I can say we had many, many submissions this year, and I can say that in my study at home, the stack is like this. So it was a lot of books to review, but I think we have a great result.
Thank you, Barbara, and thank you, Erin. It really is a pleasure and an honor to be here on behalf of the Mercantile Library. I'd also just like to digress a moment and say that I found the new scholars papers really fascinating, and as a non-library person, very, very accessible. The Mercantile Library Association just entered its 175th anniversary year, and as the oldest library west of the Mississippi, it and its city and its readers kept literacy active in the development of the American West, and thus we are very proud to be able to encourage and support the work of the Bibliographical Society of America and these deserving authors that we recognize today. In this 5th cycle of the BSA Mercantile Prize, The award attracted more participants than nearly all previous years combined, with traditional descriptive bibliographies vying with monographs on regional and topical book history for the prize. The committee members, Barbara Shailor, Erin Schreiner, George Miles, James Green, and the originator and founder, John Hoover, were grateful to be able to judge such a wide variety of topics. There were no losers, as John would say, only winners, and we congratulate all authors on their publications and encourage new scholars to continue their investigations in Americana. The excellence of submissions made it hard for the award committee to settle on just one winner, so we're excited to announce a tie for this prize to be shared by two authors. Lindsay DeKirchy's Colonial Revivals, the 19th-Century Lives of Early American Books, published by the University of Pennsylvania in 2019, is a thorough discussion of the way in which 19th-century collectors and antiquarians searched out and preserved, through famous reprints, the archival records of the earlier days of colonial America. This work has significance not only for the ways in which Anglo-American history was saved and preserved, but also that of Spanish and French records and archives. And hopefully, Lindsay's work in this important field will continue. We're very pleased that she's here with us to accept the prize. So Professor DeKirchy, will you come forward? It's my pleasure to award you the Mercantile BSA Prize. You're very welcome.
Oh, this is
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, I just wanted to thank the selection committee and thank this community of scholars who inspired my work over the years. It's really a tremendous honor to be acknowledged in this way, so thank you.
Sharing the prize this year is Derek R. Spire for his book, The Practice of Citizenship, Black Politics and Print Culture in the Early United States. Also published by Penn in 2019, this fine book examines not only the development of early African-American print culture, but this literature's parallel legal and cultural understanding and negotiation of Black citizenship. Spires effectively recreates in this book a highly creative community of letters, more diversified than previously imagined. Derek was thrilled to be a winner, but unable to attend due to his teaching constraints, but we congratulate him in his absence. Again, the uniform quality of all applicants to the prize is represented not only by a shared prize, but also our wish to acknowledge as honorable mentions two further books, whose authors will each receive a certificate award from the Mercantile and BSA. Joseph Edelman's Revolutionary Networks, The Business and Politics of Presenting the News, 1763 to 1789, published by Johns Hopkins in 2019, is a thorough examination of nearly 1,000 colonial printers and their Revolutionary-era editorial thinking, which examines just how the news influenced the revolution through the actual commerce of printing. And lastly, a posthumous appreciation of William Rees's eloquent collection of essays delivered over a lifetime of American bookselling, collectors, booksellers, and libraries. Essays on Americanists and the rare book market is, we feel, a fitting honor to a man who has helped extend the study of American history and the field of American studies in so many ways through his career, as well as through his generosity to the Bibliographical Society of America. Thank you again to all the talented scholars whose works we considered, and congratulations to the very worthy award recipients. Thank you.
And I would like to take this moment to thank the Mercantile Library, and especially John Neal Hoover, who has been such a dedicated part of the BSA. Now we have a few more items of business, and in order of presentation, we have a report from Secretary Jennifer Lowe, Treasurer Scott Clemmens, and then William Stoneman for the Nominating Committee. So if you would come forward, Jenny first, Scott, and then Bill.
You've just seen these numbers, but good news is worth repeating. At the close of 2019, the BSA had a total of 554 members in the following categories: emerging at the $25 level, 81, partner at $80, 322, sustaining at $125, 59, leadership at $250, 24, advancing at $500, 2, and lifetime at $1250, 66, and that number includes 4 honorary members. This represents an increase of 103 over last year, a remarkable 23% increase over last year's membership. And 2019 was also a wonderful year in that, as far as the council knows, there have been no deaths of BSA members. So, respectfully submitted.
I don't know why I find it funny that nobody died last year. I think that's great. Are you going to run the thing? I can run, okay. My name is Scott Clemmens. I'm the treasurer of the Bibliographical Society, and I'm here to tell you how much it costs to do all those initiatives that Barbara and Erin talked about. All worthwhile investments. As a quick reminder, we really only derive income from 2 broad sources, one of which is our endowment, and the other which is your pockets. And I'm grateful for both of those things. Membership that Jenny just talked about and contributions account for about half of our income. Our draw on the endowment accounts for about the other half, and we do both of those things in a very disciplined way. You can see where we spent money in 2019 and the budget for 2020 in front of you. The discipline for the endowment spending is that we target each year to spend no more than 5% of our endowment value, and that is so that it remains robust to support the society ad infinitum into the future. Since we're all living forever now, I guess we should plan for that. You will see in 2019 we spent a little over that, about 5.7% of the endowment. That was anticipated by the council, largely because when Erin came on board as our full-time executive director, we tasked her with revisiting and, where necessary, revising a lot of the ways in which we do the things that we do. You will also see for 2020, the budget that the council passed this morning, that we are getting back to more to that 5% or lower spending level that's consistent with long-term maintaining of that purchasing power. You'll see this functional breakdown. This is sort of standard not-for-profit accounting of how we spend our money in 3 broad categories: mission, roughly half of our spending, overhead, and then fundraising. And these 3 things exist in a balance. And I think what we'll see over the next few years, at least, as we raise the profile of the society and encourage more philanthropy, is that the fundraising part of this may actually rise. The money that we spend on elevating, for example, the gathering space for today, or the way in which we solicit funds from our members and our supporters, all in the effort, of course, for investing in the long run so that the red part of this graph, the mission part of this graph, continues to expand ever more. One of the initiatives that Erin has undertaken, which is delightful, is to recast the way that we do our accounting so that it reflects our mission. And we know exactly how much we spend on programs and events and publications and fellowships and awards and all those things, to make it very transparent so that we can say to our supporters exactly where those dollars are going. The endowment's the other source of our growth, and this is the way the endowment is invested. It's largely invested in equities for the simple reason that the endowment needs to grow over time and it needs to keep up with inflation over time. And those are things that are best solved through equities. Our advisors have recommended that to us. They've recommended this asset allocation to us. The investment committee, under the watchful eye of Jackie Vossler and her committee, meet with them regularly to keep an eye on what they're doing and to understand what they're doing. What they did last year was rather good. The red bar on this page is our portfolio performance. The first set of them is 2019. Our portfolio is up a little bit over 18%. That's wonderful, but that's also 1 year. We're very grateful when years like that happen, but we do not plan for them to recur, because they do not recur. More instructive are the bars on the other side of the page, which that seems like a random date. That's the date at which we hired our current advisors almost 4 years ago. The portfolio has grown, compounded, average annual return at about 8.5%. The definition of success here is that growth enough to support our spending, and is it enough to keep up with inflation? Hence the 2 dotted lines on this page, 5% our targeted spending rate, plus another couple of percent for inflation, the answer is yes. Over the longer period, we have kept up with that formula, but it still requires a close attention to make sure that we continue to do so. And again, I'll just thank Jackie Vossler and her committee for keeping a very close eye on the investments going forward, and I thank you all once again for the generosity that you provide to keep the whole society moving forward. Thank you. Thank you.
On behalf of the other members of the Nominating Committee, who this year were Megan Constantino, Michael Ryan, and Heather Wolf, we'd like to present the following candidates for election. But before we do that, we would like to explain the gaps which we filled. We want to thank Michael Ryan, who steps down as Vice President at this meeting, and Jennifer Lowe as Secretary. Those are very difficult jobs to fill, and we're grateful to them for their work. We have 3 members of the council who are leaving. Nina Musinski, Simran Tadani, and Heather Wolf are leaving the council this year. So here's our slate of officers that we're proposing that be elected at this meeting. Barbara Shailor, our president, is up for a second 2-year term. Ken Sunner has graciously agreed to be vice president. John McQuillan has agreed to be secretary. And Scott Clemmens we're all glad to say, be happy to go on as treasurer. Because Ken is moving from the council to the position of vice president, Mark Samuels Lasner has agreed to stand for a 2-year term to complete Ken's role. And for the class of 2023, we have put forward the names of Mary Crawford, Andrew Nadell, Elizabeth Ott, and Doug Pfeiffer is going to stand for a second term. These people all have biographies on the website, and I encourage you to go and see why we think they're suitable candidates for your election. Respectfully submitted.
I feel somewhat awkward doing this because I'm on the slate, but I think officially I actually have to ask for a vote to accept the slate. So can I have a motion? Okay, and those in favor of the slate, please say aye. Aye. Okay, anyone opposed? Any abstentions? The slate is approved. Thank you. I also want to extend thanks to those people who have been our volunteers and who are now going off the council committees and the officers. My sincere thanks to Michael Ryan, always wise and always there. To Jenny Lowe, who did a fantastic job as secretary. We have complete minutes for just about everything now. So we have a great archival record. To council members rotating off, Nina Musinski, Sim Tadani, and Heather Wolf, I am really grateful to you. You have been wonderful volunteers. And at the same time, I'd like to welcome Nick Wilding, who will become chair of the Publications Committee following Douglas Pfeiffer's 3-year term, and to Greg Prickman, who will become chair of the International Working Group on Programs as Nina Musinski rotates off the council, and thanks to Donna C. for years of work on Bibsite. Now we have 2 more reports. The Audit Committee, always a joy.
Well, I have a very short report. The Audit Committee met on Wednesday for an unusually short meeting because Council had determined that we will move our audit, at least on a trial basis, from January, when we're all very busy getting ready for this meeting, to March. So we will be meeting electronically with the auditors after they've completed their audit in late March, and I will report to the Council at the we decided that it's the April 18th Spring Council meeting, and we'll report to you as well about that. I'd like to thank the members of my committee, John Bidwell, Tad Bomer, Tom Goldwasser, and Michael Thompson, And I'm very glad to report that we are welcoming Mary Crawford as a new member of the committee. Thank you.
And our last report, and a very important report, is from the Fellowship Committee led by Hope Mayo.
Thank you. Can everyone hear me? I'll begin by saying a few words about the BSA Fellowship Program. For some years, BSA has made a number of annual financial grants to support projects in bibliographical research, that is, our promotion of bibliography, that is in relation to the mission of the Society to promote bibliography and bibliographical research. The applicants to the program range from dissertation students through junior faculty to senior scholars, also include librarians and curators and independent scholars. The BSA program differs from institutionally based fellowship programs because those are usually targeted to support research in a given collection. BSA grants can be used anywhere at any institution that holds materials that support the project in question. There's more information about the program on the website. I urge you to consult it. The deadline for the next competition, the 2021 competition, will be November 1st, 2020. I also encourage you to keep this in mind for yourselves and to recommend to your students or to the researchers in your library. And now to the report for this year's competition. The Fellowship Committee received 1 application for the Catherine F. Pantzer Senior Fellowship and 47 applications for short-term fellowships. We awarded 1 Pantzer Senior Fellowship and 10 short-term fellowships, as listed on the screen. And yes, there they are. The pool was satisfyingly diverse and enabled us to arrange geographically from Eastern Europe to 18th century China, the Indian subcontinent, and Latin America, not to mention England and the United States. Chronologically, the topics range from medieval scribal practices and early printing to reading aloud, 20th century editorial practices, and African American women writers. For the 2020 competition, the Society adopted a new digital platform, which greatly simplified the management of the application process. Special thanks are due to Erin Schreiner and A.J. Berkovitz for their work on this. The committee would like to acknowledge the Council's support of the BSA short-term fellowships and would like to thank the donors of the named topical fellowships for their ongoing generosity. I myself would like to thank the members of the committee for their dedicated hard work in assessing the applications. A.J. Berkovitz, Heather Cole, Elizabeth Denlinger, Andrew Galb, Nick Wilding, and Barbara Shailor. With special thanks to Andrew Galb and Nick Wilding, who are leaving the committee for other responsibilities. Respectfully submitted.
Thank you, Hope. To conclude this formal business meeting, I would like to note my personal commitment to the role of the Bibliographical Society in awarding these prizes and fellowships. It's so important for us as a society to support bibliographical research. And I am so pleased when I read the proposals this year to see what a wide-ranging group of applications we have. But the bottom line is we didn't quite have enough money. There were a few more proposals that we really would have liked to fund, but simply did not have the money. So this is my specific appeal. If you can, think about supporting the fellowship program. It's very, very important for us. I'm grateful for your philanthropy, and I also recognize how much our future depends upon the continuing goodwill of our members. So may I have a motion to adjourn the formal business meeting? Okay, a second? Okay, does anybody object? Okay, thank you. So now we get to our panel, which I'm very excited that we have 3 papers and then a formal response. And I'd like the panelists to come up here to the table, and I'm going to hand now the panel over to to Haven and Holly, and she will be moderator as well as doing the formal response.